Okay, so you want to untack this Pulp Fiction thing, right?
Yeah.
You sent me like a ton of stuff, articles, notes, reviews.
Oh,
It's like you want to go full deep dive on this one.
definitely.
All right, well, let's do it then.
Awesome.
Let's explore what makes Pulp Fiction so revolutionary,
You know, it's interesting.
even decades later.
It's more than just a great film. It's like a landmark in cinema.
Right.
And we're going to like peel back the layers,
Yeah.
see what makes it tick,
Yeah, well,
why it still sparks debate,
exactly.
and inspires filmmakers even today.
Yeah, and just for anyone out there who somehow hasn't seen it,
Right.
it's Quentin Tarantino's masterpiece from 1994.
Mm-hmm.
But to just call it a gangster flick just feels so
Oh, yeah, way too simple.
basic.
Totally.
It's so much more than that.
It's this crazy blend of like crime noir, dark humor.
Yeah.
It's like Tarantino took all these classic genres, threw them in a blender, and just hit pulse.
I love that.
I don't know.
And one of the first things that really throws you is the structure. It's not your typical beginning, middle, end.
Oh.
Tarantino's jumping around in time,
Yeah.
giving us all these seemingly separate stories, but they all weave together like this crazy tapestry.
It's really fascinating how he mirrors the style of those old pulp magazines.
Oh, yeah.
Those like cheap sensational stories.
Right, right.
You know, each scene feels like a self-contained episode, but they're all connected by these threads of fate and consequence.
It's almost like he's daring you to keep up. Like, can you piece together this puzzle?
Exactly. He forces you to become an active participant.
Right.
You got to pay attention to those little details because
Yeah.
they might have huge implications later on.
I know.
Think about when you first watched it.
Yeah.
Did you find that non-linear structure frustrating or engaging?
Oh, for me, it was pure adrenaline. Like, wait, what just happened?
Mhm.
Who is this guy? Where are we in the timeline?
Right.
But it pulls you in.
Yeah.
You're just hungry for those answers.
And I think that's a big part of why the film is so powerful.
Yeah.
It doesn't spoon-feed you the story.
Oh, wait.
It makes you work for it.
Totally. And then there's the characters.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they're not just memorable, they're iconic.
Absolutely.
Vincent and Jules.
Yep.
These hitmen who are quoting scripture and then debating, like, the finer points of European fast food.
I mean, come on, the Royale with cheese conversation.
Oh, my God.
On the surface is two guys talking burgers.
Right.
But it reveals so much about them.
Everything.
Their personalities, their worldview, their relationship.
It's funny, but also kind of profound.
Right.
You realize these guys are more than just thugs.
Uh-huh.
They have this whole philosophy on life, even if it's a little twisted.
That's pure Tarantino dialogue right there.
Yeah.
It's sharp, witty, full of pop culture references,
Yeah.
but it also digs into these deeper themes.
It's like he elevates the mundane to an art form.
Exactly. He makes you see the poetry in the everyday.
Totally. And it's not just Vincent and Jules, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Mia Wallace, Marcellus Wallace, Butch Coolidge. They're all so vividly drawn, so complex and unpredictable.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Butch the boxer on the run.
Uh-huh.
He's this tough guy, but he's also vulnerable,
Yeah.
desperate to escape his past.
You see, that's where Tarantino subverts expectations.
Right.
He takes these archetypes, the hitman, the gangster's mole, the washed-up boxer, and he gives them this depth humanity.
Yes.
Even these moments of surprising tenderness.
Like when Butch risks everything to go back for his father's watch.
Oh, yeah.
It's this tiny detail,
Uh-huh.
but it tells you everything about him.
It shows that even in this world of violence and crime,
Yeah.
there's still room for loyalty, love, moments of grace.
Okay, so we've got this wild, nonlinear narrative, these unforgettable characters.
Yeah.
But what about how it looks?
Right.
Tarantino's visual style is just as distinctive as his dialogue.
Oh, absolutely. It's a masterclass in cinematic storytelling.
Totally.
He uses these long takes, close-ups,
Yeah.
lets the scenes breathe and build this tension.
That overdose scene with Vincent and Mia.
Oh, yeah.
The way the camera just lingers on their faces.
Yeah, right.
The frantic energy.
It's almost unbearable, but you can't look away.
Yeah.
He also uses this warm, almost sepia-toned palette.
Yeah, I love that.
It gives the film this timeless, almost dreamlike quality.
Right.
Like his version of Los Angeles exists in this heightened reality somewhere between a gritty noir and a classic Western.
It's interesting, that connection to Westerns. I've
I
never
know.
really thought about it before, but
I
the
know.
colors, the framing, Even the way the characters move,
Oh,
there's
no.
definitely a Western vibe.
It makes sense considering Tarantino's love of genre films.
Right.
He's always paying homage to his influences.
Yeah.
But he also twists them into something new and exciting.
I know, and that's actually what we'll be digging into next.
Okay.
How Pulp Fiction became more than just a film.
Oh.
It sparked a whole movement in filmmaking.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah, we'll talk about its impact, its legacy, and how it continues to inspire filmmakers even today. All right, stay with us, folks, because this deep dive is just getting started.
It's going to be a good one.
Okay, so we've talked about how Pulp Fiction is visually stunning and mind-bending.
Uh-huh.
But let's talk about impact. Like, you sent over this article about how it totally revolutionized independent film.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, completely changed the game.
I mean, think about it. This was 1994.
You're right.
Back then, independent films were seen as like these niche art house projects.
Yeah, like for a very specific audience.
Exactly. And then Pulp Fiction comes along
Boom!
and blows up the box office.
Total game changer.
It wins the Palme d'Or at Cannes.
Wow.
And suddenly everyone's paying attention.
Yeah.
It proved that audiences were hungry for something different, something bold.
Something fresh.
Yeah, exactly.
So it wasn't just a critical darling.
Right.
This was a cultural phenomenon.
Absolutely.
People were quoting lines, dressing like the characters.
Oh.
It was everywhere.
It was huge, and I think it gave a whole generation of filmmakers permission to break the rules, to experiment with genre, to tell stories in their own unique way.
Like, they didn't have to follow the formula.
Exactly. And suddenly everyone wanted to be Quentin Tarantino.
Right. Right. But it wasn't just about, like, mimicking his style.
Right.
It was about that energy.
Yeah.
That raw, unapologetic passion for filmmaking.
Exactly. Tarantino wears his influences on his sleeves.
Totally.
From noir films to westerns to kung fu flicks.
Yeah, he loved it all.
He loves it all, but he doesn't just copy them.
Right.
He deconstructs them, reassembles them, creates something totally new.
Like with those long, drawn-out scenes,
Uh-huh.
building tension with every tick of the clock.
Oh, yeah, like that scene in the diner
Yes.
right before the whole Bonnie situation unfolds.
Oh, man.
It's excruciating,
Yeah.
but you can't look away.
No.
Pure Hitchcock.
Totally.
But with that Tarantino twist,
Right.
that blend of humor and violence.
Yes.
So it's terrifying, but also oddly hilarious.
Okay, so impact on filmmaking, undeniable.
Definitely.
But what about the music? I mean, the Pulp Fiction soundtrack is legendary.
The soundtrack is practically a character in itself.
Right.
It's not just background music. It's integral to the storytelling.
And Tarantino's known for his eclectic taste,
Totally.
blending surf rock, soul funk,
Right.
like all these seemingly disparate genres,
Yeah.
but somehow it just worked.
Think about the opening credits.
Okay.
That iconic surf guitar riff of Mia's Lulu
So good.
sets the tone perfectly.
Yeah.
It's cool, it's edgy, it promises that something wild is about to happen.
And then, girl, you'll be a woman soon during Mia's overdose.
Oh, yeah.
It takes on this whole new meaning.
Right?
Like, it's unsettling, almost sinister.
It adds this whole other layer of tension
Right.
that wouldn't be there otherwise.
Yeah, and then those more ironic choices, like son of a preacher man playing during a drug deal.
Oh, yeah.
Come on.
That's classic Tarantino.
Yeah.
Using familiar music in these unexpected ways,
Yeah.
subverting your expectations.
You know what's interesting? I read that Tarantino doesn't write with specific songs in mind.
Really?
Yeah, he's got this massive record collection,
Uh-huh.
and he'll just listen to it while he's writing, waiting for a song to, like, click with the scene.
It's almost like those songs are characters, too.
Right.
Just waiting for their cue to enter the stage.
I love that. Okay, so we've talked visuals, music impact,
Yeah.
but what about, like, the deeper stuff, the
Right.
themes that Pulp Fiction grapples with?
Ah, yes. Beneath the surface, this film is wrestling with some pretty big questions
Okay.
about fate redemption,
Uh-huh.
the search for meaning in a chaotic world.
Yeah, you can't talk about Pulp Fiction without talking about fate.
Oh, absolutely.
These seemingly random encounters
Yeah.
that have these life-altering consequences.
Like Butch bumping into Marcellus Wallace on the street,
Oh my God, yes.
or Vincent going to the bathroom at the wrong moment.
Right.
It makes you wonder, do we really have control over our lives, or are we just pawns in some cosmic game?
Yeah, and that line that Jules quotes from Ezekiel 25.17,
Uh-huh.
the path of the righteous man is beset on all sides.
It suggests that even when we try to do the right thing,
Yeah,
fate has other plans.
totally. But it's not just about fate.
Right.
It's about how we respond to those twists and turns.
Exactly.
Think about Jules's journey.
Okay.
He starts as this cold-blooded killer,
Uh-huh.
but after that near-death experience in the apartment,
Yeah.
something shifts.
Right.
He starts to question his life, his choices. That scene where he decides to walk the earth.
Ooh, so powerful.
So powerful, he chooses to step away from the violence to seek a different path.
But it's interesting, though.
Yeah.
We never actually see what becomes of Jules.
Right.
Does he find redemption? Does he fall back into his old ways?
It's left open.
Tarantino leaves it open to interpretation.
And I think that's part of the film's brilliance.
Yeah.
It doesn't offer easy answers.
Right.
It poses these questions and invites us to grapple with them,
Uh-huh.
to find our own meaning in the chaos.
It's a film that stays with you long after the credits roll.
Yes.
It makes you reflect on your own life, your own choices.
Yeah.
Your own encounters with fate.
It's funny, even after all this discussion, what's striking about Pulp Fiction is that it just defies easy categorization.
Right.
It's violent but hilarious. It's philosophical but undeniably entertaining.
It really is. It's a testament to Tarantino's skill as a filmmaker.
Totally.
Like, he blends all these seemingly contradictory elements.
Right.
And he just does it so seamlessly.
Yeah.
You're on the edge of your seat, never knowing what's coming next.
You think you're watching a typical gangster film, and then bam.
Right.
Suddenly you're in this deep philosophical debate about the divine intervention of burgers.
Exactly. And then he hits you with this burst of shocking violence.
Yeah.
Followed by a scene of almost tender intimacy.
It's wild.
It's that unpredictability that makes Pulp Fiction so rewatchable.
I know.
Every viewing reveals something new.
Totally.
A detail you missed before. A connection between characters you didn't quite grasp.
Yeah.
A deeper understanding of the themes.
It's like peeling back the layers of an onion.
Exactly.
Every time you think you've reached the core, there's another layer of complexity. And remember that briefcase that Marcellus Wallace is so obsessed with?
Oh, yeah?
We never actually see what's inside.
Right. Some fans have spent years speculating, coming up with these elaborate theories.
It's crazy.
And that's part of the film's enduring appeal.
Yeah.
It invites interpretation, it encourages discussion, it sparks debate.
Totally.
It's a film that just demands to be talked about, analyzed, dissected.
It's like Tarantino's playing a game with the audience, leaving all these breadcrumbs and daring us to put it all together.
And even after all these years, fans are still discovering new connections, new interpretations, new ways to appreciate its brilliance.
It makes you wonder, what is it about Pulp Fiction that makes it so timeless?
Right.
Why does it still resonate with audiences decades later?
I think at its heart, Pulp Fiction is a story about redemption. It's about these characters trying to find their way.
Yeah.
In a world that's often chaotic and unforgiving.
And even amidst all the violence and absurdity, there's this glimmer of hope.
Right.
This suggestion that maybe we can break free from our past and choose a different path.
And that message is universal.
Oh.
Something we can all relate to.
Right.
Regardless of our background or beliefs.
Yeah.
We've all made mistakes. We've all faced moments of crisis.
Uh-huh.
We've all yearned for a second chance.
So if you're looking for a film that will entertain, challenge, and stay with you long after the credits roll, look no further than Pulp Fiction.
It's a cinematic masterpiece.
Absolutely.
It'll reward multiple viewings, spark endless discussions, and leave you pondering these big questions about life, fate, and the choices we make.
Well, on that note, I think we'll wrap up our deep dive into the world of Pulp Fiction.
I agree.
Hopefully we've given you a new appreciation for this iconic film, and maybe even inspired you to watch or rewatch it with a fresh perspective.
As Jules might say.
Yeah.
Go on, get yourself in a righteous mood.
I love it. Thanks for joining us on this journey.
It's been fun.
And remember, the next time you see a dance contest, think twice before you step onto that floor.
Oh, yeah.
You never know where fate might lead you.